Okie dokes. Welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to be here. If you haven't already done so, please pop into the chat and introduce yourself and let me know what it is in particular that is bringing you here this afternoon. I'm guessing it's because you're interested in becoming a Google certified trainer. I am keen to hear from you guys why it is that you're interested in becoming a Google certified trainer. Thanks, Clarisse, for your honesty. Just got to overachieve, get all the badges. That's the next step. Level 2 is in the bag. So now you're ready to rock and roll. I know Jade's been sitting on that level 2 for quite a while now. So I think it's definitely time for you to hop on up to take your place as a trainer and to share your Googliness with others. But really keen for you guys to think about why it is that you want to be a certified trainer. And actually, this is actually almost the first step in thinking about your application, and reflecting on this question is going to help you. So absolutely, like, it's all about learning. It's about leveling up. And ultimately, Tamsin, you hit the nail on the head there. Being a trainer is all about empowering other people to help other teachers, to help them particularly maximize and optimize the Google for Education tools. But of course, it's not just about the tech, it's also about learning, it's about administration, it's about all of those things that come with it. Excited to hear about your new role, Jade. That's awesome. Would love to support you in that so that you can show them some things. That's really, really exciting, Jade. Awesome stuff. Okay, so what I thought we could do this afternoon, I've created a little bit of a resource site just as essentially like a step-by-step kind of how to guide to help you through your trainer application process. And then, of course, when we get to the end, we can look at specific questions. But you are tuned into PurpleZA Teach Fix, and we're looking at who wants to be a Google certified trainer. And I'm guessing that it's you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I think all of you know me, but in case anyone's watching on YouTube and you haven't yet met me, I'm Lindsay Wessner, the engineer and experience architect of PurpleZA. I'm also a Google certified trainer and a Google certified innovator. And I think that education has to be about putting purpose and people at the heart. And that's why we exist as Purple. So what are we going to cover today? First of all, we're going to chat very briefly about the prerequisites and some practicalities that you need for your trainer application. Then we're going to have a look at the application process itself. It kind of goes through 5 steps, and I'm going to take you through that. We're going to spend a little bit of time looking at some tips and tricks for your application video. And then if there's anything left after that you're not sure about, or questions that you have, we can do a little bit of a Q&A and a little bit of brainstorming. Okay, so this comes straight off the Certified Trainer website, which, by the way, if you look at our resource website, is this trainer homepage button over here. So you guys can basically follow along. I'm going to chat you through all of these steps as we kind of take a look through. But welcome to Carla. Nice to have you here. So that is the link to the trainer homepage. Essentially, everything you need is there. But I thought it might be helpful to just kind of break it down a little bit more step by step. So certified trainers empower teachers to learn and use Google products. Why? Well, we want to help the admin, right? Make it more efficient. We also want to improve teaching and learning, right? Student outcomes. And being a trainer is also a little bit about change management, about leadership, about coaching, and about kind of organizational change. So that is really the job description or the role of Google certified trainers. So how do you get to that lovely badge with the T? What are the steps? Let's take a look. Okay, so first of all, you need to have your Google Level 1 and your Google Educator Level 2 certifications. those need to be valid. So Google actually recently extended the validity of the level 1 and level 2 certifications from 2 years to 3 years. So if you have a Google level 2 certificate, Jane, and it has a date on it that says it's not valid anymore, but you did it less than 3 years ago, what you need to do is to log back into the Web Assessor platform, and then you just need to download your certificate again. So go back to the link that they sent you and download your certificate then. That will then show the up-to-date validity date, which will give you 3 years from doing your level 1 and your level 2 to apply for trainer. Okay, please pop in the chat if there's any questions that you have while I'm going through this. So I know that you have to have level 1, level 2. They cannot be expired, but the good news is you can go and download a new one if it's just past that 2-year mark, but not yet in the 3-year mark. Okay. By the way, if you haven't got your level 1 yet, we are running an in-person level up to level 1 certification day workshop at PurpleZA Heights. If you know anyone at your school, I think most of you guys are in Cape Town, actually. If you know anyone at your school that is keen to take that first step and get level 1, then definitely send them our way. But we've also got, we'll see you there, Carla. We've also got the webinar series of level up to level 1 on recording, and our My Google Teacher, which was the level 2 certification series that we did. We've got recordings of those. So if you want to kind of catch up on that and use our resources to go through that at your own pace to prepare, you can definitely pop Carmen a mail and she will hook you up with those recordings. So once you've got your level 1 and your level 2, I think it's helpful to kind of get into the mind of Google a little bit. So what is Google looking for? They want to see that you have a background in edtech. You don't need to have like decades of experience. But just that there's evidence that you are passionate, that you are learning, that you attend professional development, that you're doing things in your own classroom. Of course, your role in your school is going to be important to mention, so that they can see that you are somebody who is already in the space, right? That gives you a little bit of credibility. Then I think probably the trickiest part of the trainer application is that you kind of almost have to be one before they give you the certification. So almost like, when you go to the bar for a year and then you become an advocate, that kind of thing. Google actually wants to see that you have experience in delivering high quality professional development. So it doesn't help level 1 and level 2 show, okay, you know how to use these tools yourself in your own classroom. Google wants to see record of your experience in delivering high quality professional development, which means if you are not currently delivering any form of professional development, you need to get your A into G and start offering some sessions, okay? And what I would recommend here is that you, even if it's just a case of like saying to the teachers in your school, or if you want to open up to other schools and do a little online session, right? We can always help you spread the word and market that and kind of get it out. We can tell our schools and our teachers about it. But you need to have evidence that you have conducted at least 5 training sessions in the last year, right? So always a good idea to get going on that as soon as possible, especially if, maybe your first attempt is not quite so high quality and we want to get better and better. But don't feel like you have to have the whole world and present at a big conference or anything. You can literally have like 5 or 6 people, gather them around, give them a little bit of a session for an hour, and then you're going to keep the record, okay? So the record of that is kept in 2 ways. First of all, you are going to need to have some kind of evidence of your resources, right? So if you made a Google site, or you made a Google slideshow, or you created some kind of activity that your participants did, maybe a collaborative slides or something, right? You're going to need to upload that. And you also need to have feedback. Okay, so you're going to need to pop out a feedback form, nice little Google form, and get feedback on the session. And again, if you want examples of what that looks like, you can always reach out to us. We're happy to share our feedback form, for instance, with you, and you can kind of tweak it for your own purposes. So anything that is kind of bigger than 5 people, I would say classifies as a training session. If it's smaller than that, then it really looks like it's more like a coaching session. Okay, so you can do it in person, you can do it online, that doesn't matter, but you do need to have at least 5 people with you for it to kind of classify as a training session. Of course, if you do it online, you can also record your session. If you're doing it in person, always nice to have a couple of pictures as evidence of the session that you can share with Google to show that you've delivered those sessions. Okay. And I'm going to show you inside the application form where you actually have to do kind of basically a case study on one training session that you've delivered. I'll show you guys those questions that they ask you to reflect on, which will also help you kind of plan those training sessions. But yeah, you need at least 5 and they need to have been conducted in the last year. Then we need mastery of Google for Education tools. Of course, you need to know your stuff. A little bit beyond level 2 in terms of kind of understanding the role of Google for Education in a school, a little bit more than just a classroom. But really, really important, Google wants to see that you're not just becoming a trainer because it's the next thing to do, but that you actually have a passion and a plan to positively impact education beyond your classroom and your school. So yes, it's great that you can do those initial training sessions with your school. Maybe you want to invite some neighboring schools. We can always help you brainstorm if you've got an idea of a session that you want to run. But the idea is that if you're a certified trainer, you impact the community, right? So you are doing things with other schools, you're affecting change beyond just your classroom, okay? And also beyond just your school, right? Obviously, it's great for a school to have their own in-house certified trainer, but the idea is that if you're a certified trainer, you're training teachers from lots of different schools. Okay, so that's kind of what Google is looking for. Again, please feel free to pop questions in, like Larissa has done already. Attempting to answer them as we go along. Now I want to talk about the application process. Okay, so I've kind of broken this down into 5 steps that make sense for me. So let's take a look at at each of them in turn, and then we can kind of dive a little bit deeper and explore and answer some questions if you have any. Okay, so if you go to the resource website and you go to this trainer homepage, you will see all of those things there. But it is a little bit all over the show, so I've kind of tried to simplify it for us here. Okay, so step 1 is to complete the certified trainer course. You can go ahead and click on that and open it up from the website. And you'll see that basically there are a number of different topics. This is very similar to the level 1 or level 2. They say it takes about 20 hours. I think, Clarissa, you've already had to work through it. Pretty easy, very simple, generally logical stuff. But in essence, it basically covers things like leadership and vision, organizational change. How do you design professional learning? What does coaching look like? What's the difference between coaching and training? How do you plan like fun, engaging training sessions? How do you facilitate well? Understanding a little bit deeper about Google tools in the classroom. And then, like I said, the broader context of Google for Education, like their products and their privacy policies and all of that stuff. Clarissa, if you want to tell us in the chat how long it took you, I'd be really interested to know. I have not done that particular trainer course in a while. So it would be good to know how long it took you. But I think it is pretty easy, simple, straightforward stuff. You just work through it just like you would have done with a level 1 and 2 materials. Okay. Once you've done the trainer course, then there is an exam that goes with that. So yeah, Clarissa's saying a couple of evenings. So you don't need a massive chunk of time. So once you've completed the trainer course, you've then got the trainer skills assessment. Okay, this is exactly the same kind of format as the level 1 and level 2 exam that you would be familiar with if you've already done those. Okay, so your trainer skills assessment, you'll see is linked as step 2 on the website. That link takes you to the web assessor platform where you can register for the exam. And that exam is $15. So you'll find it under the for trainers session. So it's like about 230 Rand, depending on the exchange rate. And that one, you book it, and then you have the same 7 days to take your exam. And you can only take it 3 times. If you fail it, there's a delay again. So the trainer skills assessment is your little online exam. And that is really same idea as the level 1 and 2. Multiple choice, drag and drop, match the columns, just testing the content of that trainer skills assessment. Okay. I do think it's helpful, Clarissa, to download the resources that they have on the trainer course, because they are things that you can use in your training, right? So there are some really nice things in there around like a training plan, what a training plan can look like. And of course, if you're a certified trainer, it means you can go to school and you can say, hey, what does your professional development look like? Can I help you develop a training plan? And then it kind of gives you those different steps, gives you the opportunity to listen to different certified trainers, different technology frameworks, which are really, really, really valuable for you as a trainer if you want to be an expert in good like well-grounded tech in solid pedagogy, right? And exactly, really, really interesting resource in Unit 2 about the difference between teaching children and training adults, right? So there are some similarities, but there are some key differences. So really, it's a really useful little course to work through. There's not much to be said about it. It's pretty straightforward. But looking at how you develop for adults and how you plan, what coaching looks like, how you build relationships, how do you model technology use, and all of those things, professionalism, Google tools, etc. Okay, so you do your course, then you pop over, you book your assessment, and then you are you've kind of done the theory part of the trainer application. Okay. Once you've done the trainer application part, I recommend then getting going and starting to think about creating your video, which has a very specific formula. So if you pop onto the resource site, you'll see I've linked you to our PurpleZA video guide under step 3, create your 3-minute video. Here is my very, very embarrassing trainer video from like 4 years ago now, maybe 5, I don't know. If you're wanting to look at some examples, I've popped a couple of examples of trainers that I know, just so that you can see some variety. But I do want to chat you guys through this little video guide, because there are some key things that you need to know that are really gonna help your video. I'm going to get to that question about the training sessions in the secularists. I don't think it'll be a problem. It's fine. If you do them this term, knock them out one after the other, it's all good. It's not a problem. Okay, so creating your video. First of all, I think it's really important that you find a style of video that you feel like represents your character and your personality. So these examples are actually not trainer application videos. These are examples from the Innovator Academy applications, but I've chosen them because they are all very different in style. And I think it's important that you think about, do I want to be quirky? Do I want to be techie? Do I want to be sincere? Do I want to be heartfelt? Do I want to use like really fancy visuals? Is that my thing? Do I just want to be like fun and googly? what is your style? Now, irrespective of what your style is, Google is looking for googliness in your video. Okay. Now, this word googliness is quite an interesting little concept. So I thought we could take a second before we look at the intricacies of the of the video itself, to kind of think about what does googliness mean. Okay, I'm going to pop you guys a link now to a little Mentimeter where I want us to share some ideas about what is googliness, right? Like what do we mean by googliness? But think about a couple of words while I get you the link. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay, so I'd love for you guys to pop into this link that I'm popping in the chat now, and then tell me, give me at least 3 or 4 words. If you can think of more, then do that. What do we mean by googliness? What are the things that come to mind when we say googliness? Pop a couple of words in for us there. Okay, so once you've popped your words in, you can come and have a look at what the rest of the crew are saying. What is googliness? Googlifying something. What does that mean? Okay, so we've got innovative coming through strongly, right? We can also define innovation, because I think that's also one of those words that we throw around a lot and we're like, what do we actually mean by innovation? My favorite definition of innovation is Jamie Notter. He says, innovation is change that unlocks new value. So it is to do with change. It's to do with making things better. It is to do with information, right? The original mission of Google was to make the world's information accessible to everyone. So there's definitely the kind of use of apps and tools. But I think that googliness is much more of a character, right? It's more of a disposition. So when they say show your googliness in the videos, in your application video, yes, they mean you're going to use the apps and the tools, and we'll get to that part of the video now. But the first part of your video is a 1-minute introduction, okay? So there we want to see things like these words that you've put there, right? That you are quirky, right? Fun, that there's colorful, not quite sure that you want to purvey the fearful. I think definitely more like the creative, the energetic, colorful, humble, certainly, adaptive, kind of flexible, right? Those are good. Those are values that Google holds dear. And if Google can see like, oh, cool, this person's quite fun, they're quite quirky, they're quite flexible, they're quite creative, there's some, colorful spontaneity happening. Those are good things that you want to be able to portray when you are making your video and showing Google that you are googly. All right. So if you have a look at the video page itself, you'll see underneath the find your style, so you can have a watch. You can also just search on YouTube for certified trainer applications. You'll see loads and loads of people's ideas. And then in your video, you've got 3 minutes, okay? The first minute is just you, right? It's an introduction of you. You're going to explain your role. You're going to explain why you want to become a trainer. That's why I asked you that in the beginning. So you maybe want to flesh that out. And then you also want to convey what makes you unique and googly. Okay. And I want to actually encourage you to embrace your quirks, right? If you are a book nerd, then bring that into your video, right? If you are, I don't know, a sports coach, right? Make that evident in your video. Don't try and be generic. Okay, so bring your passion, bring your quirks, bring your thing. Even if your thing is not technology specifically, think about how you can bring that into your 1-minute introduction, where you are wowing them with who you are, why you want to be a trainer, what makes you unique, what are your passions, what do you advocate for, what do you want to see. Okay, and obviously you're going to want to think about it. You're going to want to write your script. You're going to want to be quite intentional about that in terms of planning the content. Okay, and then you have 2 minutes. So your whole video is maximum 3 minutes in total. You then have 2 minutes to do a screencast, right, of how one feature of Google for Education. So like the apps, the tools, you could look at Chromebooks, you could look at Chrome, you could look at Android tablets, right? So you can choose the tools or the devices. But basically you are showing how this can be innovatively applied in a classroom or school setting, okay? So just make sure you're not using like a Quizlet or PurpleZA or one of those third-party apps. You're showing Google stuff specifically, okay? And you need to try and think about what is one thing that you know either helps teachers or schools become more efficient, okay, or increases creativity. So maybe this is something that you could do with your students that unlocks creativity with your students, or something that redefines learning, so it makes it more collaborative, more engaging, more student-centered, okay? And then you've got 2 minutes to basically train, okay? So you need, Google is asking you to do this 2 minutes of the video because they want to see, can you explain something well? Can you give clear step-by-step instructions? Can you show me how do I click? What do I do? Because that's what trainers do, right? And then on top of that, do you understand how this click, do that, da-da-da? Can you explain the difference that it makes in a school or in a classroom? Make sense? Okay, so you are literally doing a 2-minute screencast training of, hey, did you know you can use Google Forms and the Choice Eliminator add-on to streamline the process of booking parent-teacher meetings. And here's how you would go about this. You can start off with a form that's partially made. You can show, okay, this is how you go, and you click and install the add-on. Once you've got the add-on, then you go and you add the options into Choice Eliminator. You talk through the whole process, nice and slowly, nice and clearly. You sum it up with like why this is so great and what value it adds to your school or to learning. And then you wrap up your video. Okay, so the audience for this training, great question, Carla, definitely teachers. Okay, so you are showing teachers how they can do something, okay? Because you are like, Google knows that you can teach, you're a teacher. They want to know, can you train? Okay, so you are showing, hey guys, when you have this problem in your class, or here's an idea for how you can make this lesson more engaging. If you've got so actually, if you look at my video, you'll see I did, and this was way back, but it's still a great thing. I said, this is how you can set up a collaborative slide deck to divide and conquer research in your class, give children different topics, hyperlink slides, how it works, students can comment, blah, blah, blah. Then that was the end of it. Okay. And of course, you're going to plan the whole thing. So you're going to script it. You're going to write it down. If you find it easier to explain things, then why not open up a Google Doc and pop in some voice typing while you explain it how you think you would without rehearsing. So it kind of comes across naturally. and then you can go and sort of edit your script and practice your script. So what do I say when, all of those kinds of things. And make sure not to leave out even the littlest step, right? Really, really important that you don't kind of gloss over things, and that you say, like, even if it's obvious that you do this and then you click OK, you need to say you click OK, because they want to check, can you train? All right, can you train without sounding condescending? Are you clear? Do you make sense? What's your style? What's your vibe? That is the purpose of this part of the video. Okay, and of course you want to make sure that the video is high quality, that you don't have any pixelated, ugly stuff on there. Then you're going to upload that video either to Drive or to YouTube. And then you need to make sure when you submit your application that that link is visible to the public. So anyone with the link can view if it's in Drive, or if you're publishing it on YouTube, that it is a public link. And don't forget at the end, even if it's like a 1-second little trailer, to add references for any videos and images and music that you've used in your video. Okay. So what I've done for you here is actually given you a number of different the slides that I'm going to chat you through in a moment. And I want to show you guys some cool video tools. Some of them you might know about, but others you might just want to take a look at and explore, just to really make your video look professional. Of course, your screencast is going to be your screencast, but you can level that up if you wanted to do a little bit of a green screen vibe, or even if you just have a great intro with great visuals and then a nice little cap at the end of the screencast, to kind of sum up why you want to be a trainer and say, hey, Google, pick me. I'm awesome, you're awesome, let's be awesome together, or whatever, that you've got a visual that kind of ties it together. Okay, guessing that you all know how to do screencasts, but if you don't, either Screencastify or Loom are great tools for screencasting. I would really recommend, I know that you probably don't like it, but having your camera on when you do the screencast so people can see how you communicate, they can see your facial expressions, because just a screen recording without a face doesn't kind of have the same vibe. And absolutely, Screencastify, the free version, has got a 5-minute limit, so it will be enough for you to do your innovator video. But Loom is free for unlimited recording. They both allow you to have a little camera. The Loom camera is in a circle and the Screencastify camera is in a rectangle. Other than that, pretty much very similar tools across them. Then there is this great little thing that you're seeing on my screen right now, which makes it absolutely clear what I'm pointing to. Yes? Fabulous tool for training in general. So you might as well go and install this custom cursor Chrome extension now if you don't already have it. And definitely I recommend that you use it in your screencast. It gives you the option, there's a whole bunch you can scroll through to choose from different size and different color cursors. Absolutely choose a theme for your video. If you've done some of our branding stuff in our level 2 course, then pop it in with your brand, make sure that it stands out, but that it links in and it looks all cool. I wouldn't recommend for training purposes going with any of the like Ninja Turtles or any of those ones, unless like that's really your vibe. But these kind of color ones, and you can adjust the size and various things. It's a really, really good, it's a really, really good tool to use. And yeah, definitely pick a nice color so that it's clear, and then you've got it on your computer when you're doing training. Really makes it obvious what you're pointing to, and it's just awesome to have. Okay, then a couple of tools that you may or may not have heard of already. You guys can scroll through on the resource site. I'll just show you some examples here on the slides. So you want to make sure your video shows your personality, your Googliness. You want to make sure that it shows that you're credible, that you are passionate, that you're actually going to do something with this badge and not go, oh, I'm a certified trainer and I'm now trained no one, right? That you want to make an impact, that you can train and explain, and that you understand how technology can be used beyond just click this, that you understand how it can change schools, how it can change teaching and learning. And don't get fancy and think, oh, I'm going to send a 3.5-minute video because, you know, I'm so great. If you do not meet the brief, they will not give you your certification, okay? So they give you a whole bunch of instructions to see, can you follow a whole bunch of instructions? Because if a school comes to you and says, hey, I want the session on this thing, and you don't meet the brief, then you're not going to be a very good certified trainer. All right. So that's what we're trying to aim for. Okay, so we've had a little chat about your concept and your consistency. All right, so think about one concept and one style. Okay, obviously you want to be consistent with color, you want to be consistent with fonts throughout. Then yeah, and make sure that you kind of, especially if you're using like an annotation as you are looking through things, that you kind of if you're always using a red circle, you're always using a red circle, you're always using a black line, you're using a black line. So definitely you want to have a concept throughout your video. Then we've spoken about screen recording. If you want to do your introduction in something like Keynote or PowerPoint, you can always download a Keynote or PowerPoint as an MP4 movie file, also even as a GIF. If you have never seen Biteable.com, this has got super, super cool resources. And actually, I'll just show you guys a little screenshot. Let me log in quickly. Okay, so if you've never seen Biteable.com, they've got lots and lots of these little templates of really, really cool animations. Okay, there we go. We're logging in. So it's going to ask you whether you're a teacher or what you do, and then it will just customize the themes that it gives you or the templates that it gives you to whatever you say there. So you'll see there are literally little scenes. Okay, so these have got little animations. Thanks, Joelle. We're good. If you're looking for an advert, if you're looking for an explainer, right? Lots of different, if you're thinking like, these are my 6 points, this is 6 reasons why I should be a trainer, lots and lots of very cool animations. And then you can literally edit any of these templates to add in your own wording and your own content. Okay, so you can go ahead and add your own titles. The animations are not that customizable, but you'll see, so like this scene here is about the 10 skills. You can change the wording, you can change the style, you can change the font, but the actual animation you'll see if we just click play. It is free. There is a paid version, but it's free. So the free version gives you these little madewithbiteable.com watermarks on your first scene. Hint, you know. Yeah, basically your different little animations that you can change the wording of, the colors, all of those kinds of things. And then, yeah, so that's a nice option there. There's some very cute little templates. You can go and have a squiz around there. And then you would probably need to take your, even if you used Biteable for maybe your introduction, and then you're going to move into your screencast with you explaining your things, you'd probably need to use something like WeVideo or what's the one? iMovie, to pull it together. And then there are also some quite cool things built in. So the morph animation in PowerPoint, the kind of fragment and morph thing will let you create things like this. So if you wanted to pull something apart and put it back together again, that animation is really cool. And then if you just export those slides as a MP4, then that'll let you add that into your video. So you can see here how like this how to be a superhero one brings everything together. And then the little planets over there also made using Morph. So if you're a PowerPoint person, go check that out. If you are an Apple person and you have access to Keynote, Magic Move is a super helpful little animation tool. So this is literally just made using slides. It's not fancy video editing. It's literally moving slides and images and morphing them or magic moving them between different slides. Okay, so that's an example of Magic Move. You might want to check that out. Then if you have got Keynote, another really fun kind of artsy way, I'm just going to mute the sound on Irene's innovator video. But I want to show you, so she used this line drawing animation tool over there to kind of demonstrate almost like this live drawing. So you can draw whatever you want, and then it animates it, but it follows your drawing. Top tip is you can also stencil things. This little element is an element from Whiteable, and then these line drawings are literally on a slide in Keynote made into an animation. So if you like that vibe, then definitely have a look-see at line drawing in Keynote. And then, yeah, basically you don't have to think that you have to use one tool to make your whole video. You want a consistent look, but save all of your little bits as MP4s. Then you pop them together in iMovie or WeVideo. Write your script and practice. So the 90 seconds is not correct, but 1 minute for your introduction and then 2 minutes for your training. And then you can add background music. Just make sure that if you're adding background music over your training, that it is not distracting and that it is very, very soft so that they can clearly hear how you are explaining things. Okay. Any questions about the video? Anybody got ideas of what they want to show in their 2 minutes and you want a little bit of feedback on that? Any questions about the video before we move on to the kind of a written application part? You definitely need to be visible in your intro part. Absolutely. You cannot hide. If you hide, it sends a message to Google that I don't want to be seen. And unfortunately, being a trainer is showing up and being seen and helping people. So the more you are visible, the better. If you look at mine, I did like a whole lame thing with GIFs and wacky hats and things. But you need to be visible. You don't necessarily need to be visible for the whole minute. Like if you want to add some photos of your classroom or, you know, some kind of bullets or some little biteable animations and elements, that's totally fine. But we need to see your face. Okay. Show up, show up, show up, show up. Okay. Holla if there's any other questions on the video. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the case study and the written responses. Okay, so you need to have your video ready so that you can basically share the link to your video in the next part of this, the next part of the application. All right, so what I would suggest is that before you actually go to the link where you sign up and apply, once you start your application, that is only valid for 7 days. Okay, so I wouldn't suggest going to start your application until you have everything prepared. Okay, so to help you guys prepare, what I've done is I've basically copied and pasted the questions from the actual application into this here Google Doc. You can go ahead and grab a copy. I've also popped in here screenshots of all of the questions in the application so that you don't have to start your application and then not finish it within 7 days and then come back again. Okay, so I'll show you the live one now and we'll chat through a couple of those things. But the screenshots are there on the website. And then this is basically a document where you can start to draft your responses. It does take quite a bit of time to draft these responses because they have generally got a 200 word, 200 character limit. I'll double check that now. So you're definitely going to need to be doing your tools word count to check that your answers are the right length. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like when you start your application. You do your registration with your Google account. You tell them which school you work at, what your role is, and where the school is. That's part 1 and 2. Then part 3, you've got your training and professional experience. Okay, so any higher ed degrees you've got and the institutions, how many years of classroom teaching do you have, coaching or training, how many years of that do you have? If you don't have a lot officially, then just put 1, it's fine. I wouldn't put 0. It's not going to count really in your favor. And then this is where you list the Google specific trainings that you've done, date and topic for each training, at least 5. Okay. So you're just going to, for this one, you just need to list the date and the topic, and like that's it. Then they ask you if a current certified trainer referred you to the program. You are welcome to put my details in there, and say that you worked with PurpleZA to help you with this application. You probably have not done a Google for Education Certified Trainers workshop. This is not one of those. Those are things that Google, Google leads. Okay, and then they ask you about your goal setting. So recertification as a trainer requires at least 12 trainings each year. So once you have got your trainer certification, once a year you have to submit. You basically have to log 12 trainings that you've done in the year. Okay, so that's the kind of the bare minimum. And then there's also a little exam that is free, but that you have to do every year to show that you basically know the updates of Google products, what's changed. So that's when you're certified. You have to recertify every year. Minimum of 12 trainings, so 1 a month, not ridiculous. But what they're asking here in a 100-word limit is, what are your training goals? Okay, so as a Google certified trainer, in a year, what is it that you would like to do? How many teachers would you like to train? How many sessions? What would you like to see? Are you going to help others do their level 1 or level 2? 100 words is not a lot, so keep it short and succinct, but really think about what are your goals? What do you want to achieve in your year? Then they ask you for your certifications. So you literally upload the certificate, not the badge, because they need to see that it's got your name on it. So you upload your valid level 1, level 2. Then the trainer skills assessment that you took in step number 2, you upload that. And if you've got anything else that you would like to upload, so maybe it's another tech company certification or something like a Nearpod certified educator or CAMI level 1 or anything that shows that you have a little bit more than just Google, you can upload those. Right. Then the case study. Okay, this is the part that they are going to scrutinize, because this again is where you need to show that you actually are a trainer. Okay, so you choose one session that you've conducted, so one of the at least 5 that you've listed, you focus on that. Okay, 200 words per question. These are the questions that are on the doc that I've given you, so you can practice, you can craft your response. Then when you come here, you just paste, and submit. Okay, so what was the training? How did you show how to use the tool? And how did you show them different and efficient ways of integrating the tool into the classroom? So now you have an advantage, because lots of you are still going to do those sessions. So as you plan those sessions, think about how you would answer the question, and then choose the session that you've got the best answers to these questions for to be your case study. Okay, so how did you show them how to use the tool, and how did you show them effective, good, positive, and efficient, quick, time-saving ways of using it in the classroom? Okay, same training session. What actions did you take to engage the adult learners? Right, so they want to see, did you do that level, that course in the thing? Have you understood, if I was doing this for children, I would do it like that? Because they're adults, I've chosen to engage them like that. And how did you differentiate? So did you have a resource site where those who needed extension and enrichment could go and explore? Did you do a baseline assessment before the training to see where everybody was at? Did you maybe create some mixed ability groups so that they could help each other? How did you differentiate the training? Okay, so you want to plan for your differentiation when you're planning the training. Then here's where you pop in the links. So at least one training material, so slides or doc. Obviously check your link sharing, make sure it is visible outside of your domain. If you give them a link to a site or a slide or anything that they cannot view, they will just decline your application. So always remember to check your site in incognito mode, or to send it to somebody or an account outside of your domain and check that everything is visible. Okay, so here they want to see, what does your training material look like? Does it look professional? Is it high quality? How did you kind of think about creating this? And then here's where you add the feedback. Okay, so they want to see the form as well as the responses. So you just paste those links in over there. And then the last one is, once you've reviewed the feedback, how would you do it better, or how would you improve it or do it differently next time? Okay, so they want to see that there's reflection, that you're like, oh yeah. And don't be afraid to say, I did this and it really didn't work so well, so actually next time I would do it that way. It also gives you an opportunity to speak to maybe some negative feedback or some kind of challenging feedback and say, oh yeah, thought this was going to work better. Actually, next time I'll do it like this. Okay. So that is your case study on one of those minimum 5 training sessions that you've delivered. Then here is your link where you add your video. So you'll see here again, first minute, wow us, final 2 minutes, teach us. Okay. If you're reapplying because they declined application previously, then you have to tell them what you're changing. But for most of you guys, I think this is your first application. Then you save it for later, and then you submit. And then the final section here is just the kind of confirmation that everything is right. Have you checked your link sharing? Have you done all of that? Okay. So that is essentially step 4. So prepare your case study, written responses. You are all most welcome to share that with me. You have my email address. So once you've used the Google Doc and you've drafted your responses, please go ahead, hit share. I'm happy to share some suggested edits in there. Kind of pop some comments in, questions or things that come to mind. If I see something that I'm like, doesn't really make sense, or I can't open this link, you're welcome to share your prep with me. And then, of course, you're going to go to the actual site, which is linked there, and then you're going to check and submit your application. And then they basically announce trainers on a monthly basis. So I'm not sure which day of the month it is, but once you have submitted, it'll take a month or a little bit more, and then they will let you know that you have or have not made it. If you haven't, it's not because you're not meant to be a trainer. It could be your link to your video or a resource or something is not working. So make sure your link sharing is checked. Obviously, if there is no evidence that you have actually done said 5 training sessions, if your certificates are expired, or the video is not to spec, it's too long, you can't see it, the 5 trainings, and then the impact, and like if your passion is not evidence. Okay, so they only ask for a deep dive on one, but they do ask for the date as well as the title of one of your other training experiences. So there is this question here where you must list the 5 that you've led, Google specific trainings that you've led, and then you go into detail on one of them. Okay, so they just want to know what are the different titles, when are the dates that you've run those, and then they're going to check the deep dive on one session. Okay, good question, Clarisse. And then I think that is almost it in terms of the overview of the process. I hope that has been helpful to you, and that the resource site that you've got now kind of serves as a kind of framework for you to work through the process. Definitely set yourself some time goals for each of those steps. If you want feedback on a video, if you want feedback on your answers, please, very happy to help. So just pop it to me and share it. Don't share it when you need to submit it tomorrow though, okay? Just give me a few days window so that I can make time to look at your goodies. And then of course, when you get, not if, when you get your trainer certification, please tell us, so that we can celebrate with you. And obviously we can possibly look at some opportunities for you to do some training with us or for us, if that is something that you would like to do. Okay, so yeah, any questions, anything that you're wondering about? In terms of the video, if that is going to be a challenge for you and you feel like that's not something that you're good at, well, Clarisse, you've got access to Purple, so definitely go through that video creation course again. Think carefully about your storyboard, plan it, and just use things that already look great. Like, don't feel like you have to create this whole shebang wow video from scratch. Keep it simple, use things that are already existing, and then you're going to pop it together and stitch it together in your iMovie or your Wii video. And yes, it is difficult to show up and to talk about yourself, but that is something that we have to learn to step into, right? And then in case you missed it, we have got next Friday, whose lesson is it anyway is happening, which is basically our EdTech Rockstar Showdown, where the points don't matter, but they kind of do. And so if you want to pop to bit.ly/teachfixfridays, that is a free session happening next Friday, so you can come and be inspired by some EdTech Rockstars. Maybe you'll get some ideas for your video or just general awesomeness. And then we've got our Extreme Makeover webinars starting next week. We're looking at making over textbooks, lessons, presentations, worksheets, making over your Chrome. And these are all free for our PurpleZA schools. And if you are not at a PurpleZA school yet, then we've got some bulk binge packages for you. So you can pop to our bit.ly/PurpleZA makeovers for these Extreme Makeover webinars and come and join us for that. And then if you are in Cape Town and you're a girl, sorry, Jade, you are also welcome, and you are looking at how you can level up, how you can find the courage to show up. If you're kind of the go-to girl in your school when it comes to all things tech, we have designed a very, very special in-person workshop event for anybody who is looking at how do I level up, how do I show up, how do I affect change, how do I grow as a leader, how do I step into my leadership style, how do I develop my personal brand, how do I deal with change management, all sorts of lovely, juicy stuff like that. So you can pop to bit.ly/girlswhogoogle if you're interested in joining us for that. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for your time and for joining me this afternoon. And yeah, if you need any support or have any further questions while you're delving through your trainer application, awesome, Tamsin. That is great. Yay. So excited. That is brilliant. And then, yes, do not get your trainer certification and not tell me. Okay. I've got your back. We're going to do this. It's time to level up. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a